guys, welcome to Hindu Muslim Hi Hi presented by Ghadar Radio. This is Prerna
And this is Miraj.
and we are back at it again. Yay!
One more episode. Every time after editing, I'm like, kitna sara kaam hai.
Yes, if you want to start a podcast, it is not easy, is what we have learned.
And I am also a noob at editing, so it's not like I'm a expert.
Expert.
So
Yeah.
I'm also learning in this
Okay, wait,
process.
before this episode becomes about how to make a podcast, I do want to tell our listeners that we are changing the format slightly. The three segments that we had before in each episode, we are basically going to split them up and which will be released every week, starting with the first Sunday of every month. So we would have a common theme that ties all the three episodes of the month together. This month we have farmers protest and let us know what you think about it on social media. In joint effort we are going to talk about all the diasporic organizations and the updates that happened last month. In Culture Kush we have the movie Peoply Life. And in Puff Puff Talk, we have three filmmakers with us Rajasik Taraftar, Shrishti Agrawal, and Bedo Pratap Pain, or Bedo as we call him, talking about their new documentary called Deja Vu. Which basically ties American farm laws and what's happening in India currently. So should we get into the a recap or sort of rundown of farmers' protests and what's happened so far?
It was when the farm bills were made public.
Correct. And this was
So even
like,
before
yeah,
everything came to Delhi, there were already protests going on in
right.
Punjab and Haryana.
Obviously, this was three laws that were passed very sneakily by the government during COVID. And then in November, the farmers finally marched to Delhi and they were blocked by the Delhi police. And we sort of saw images of all Singhu border, Tikri border, all of these places where the farmers are basically camped out since November till now.
Delhi police is famous. The infamy of Delhi police became more international during the CAA protests.
Right.
The way Delhi police behaved, and they didn't behave any different with the farmers. The police behaved with them. It was like there is an attack on Delhi. There is an attack on India.
Yeah, it's like,
That was the
oh my
whole.
god, look at this a Khalistani climbing the Red Fort and planting this Khalistani flag. Oh god, it was just crazy. And then obviously we saw like the metal barricades and nails and all of this stuff that's happening near the borders of Delhi, right?
Things are like, what? Delhi is a different country at
It became a
altogether.
war zone, like almost
It
like a war
is.
zone,
Yeah,
right?
it became a war zone.
Without being an emergency, it was an emergency. And
Yeah.
all this while COVID is happening. COVID is still a thing, and farmers' protest is still a thing for like this whole since 2020. And then obviously the laborers also joined this fight. We don't want to explain the laws too much in detail because I don't think we are economists, but we will try our best to just tell you what it means, you know.
As lay people, how we see that.
Yeah, there is a Vox documentary that we'll link here, and it's more from the international angle. First bill is called Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Act. There's an existing mandi system where farmers go and it's a wholesale market where they sell produce and you bid and you have a minimum support price which is regulated by the government, but they are trying to make a market where they're saying, oh, there will be no middlemen, and we will have we'll have a parallel market where the farmer can go directly to the buyer.
Yeah, so the catch is that that parallel thing will be completely deregulated. There is no government interference in
Correct.
that. So big private players can do whatever they want.
Right. And then, so eventually the mandi system will become defunct because, like, initially, obviously, the corporations will try to get as many farmers and small farmers that they can to them.
The mandi system will collapse into itself because there will be no supporting business happening at the mandi.
Right. So the second is called the Farmers Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Act, which basically creates a framework for contract farming.
Farming is very much dependent on climate, so there's a lot of uncertainty. And if any dispute happens, for example, if I am a big company and you are a farmer and I'm like, okay, grow this many potatoes, this should be the quality. I said, your quality is not good, I'm not taking that potato anymore. So where will you go?
The farmer is left with nowhere to go but to sell them at whatever price they want.
As per this law, farmers don't even have the recourse to go to the court. So
Yes.
that is the kind of a contract that a farmer will be stuck in.
I know, that's so sad. Like, it was already so bad. Yeah, moving on. The third one is the Essential Commodities Amendment Act. And this will remove limits on the stocking of essential commodities like, wheat or rice.
Medicines.
And medicines also. And so what will again happen is that, suppliers who can actually store and stock all of this will stock and hoard all the essential commodities. It will harm all of us, the consumers.
Yeah, this is where the listeners who are not farmers and who think that, okay, so how is that affecting me, should pay attention, because once the hoarding starts, the
Right.
price is totally under the control of big hoarders.
Ultimately, there'll be 3 or 4 big monopolized players in farming.
And the consumer prices will rise.
Of course. And then, so just to give you guys statistics, that before this even happened, from 95 to 2015, there were 296,000 farmer suicides. And these are the ones that are reported. 50% of the farmers are already under poverty line and they're indebted. So I can't even imagine what's actually going on with the actual figures.
It is important to understand that what is happening now is not something that came just out of thin air.
Right. The
Okay.
previous governments were like, oh, let us sneakily do scams. And this government
Right.
is F you. We are going to pass these laws and all our corporations will be happy. Maybe we need to make an item number with P. Sainath statistics. Like,
Yeah, then maybe general public will be like, oh,
or
okay.
maybe like make
we should
like
get
this,
some...
TikTok viral challenges. Like, survive like a farmer for a day. I don't know.
The joke is just too dark, to be honest.
I know, sorry.
I don't know
I
how
don't mean to offend anyone.
like, somebody like Sainath has been talking about this and public attention is so much not on this. It's so sad.
The media is such a distraction. It's not giving you news. I wish it would go back to Doordarshan where you have one monotone news anchor talk for an hour and gives you all the highlights and that's it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to know about Deepika ne ye aaj ye khaya, whatever bullshit is going on.
This thing has to get somehow on TikTok and those cheesy videos to get public attention. I don't even know. Maybe we need some kind of a creative genius to do that.
Oh, yeah, we should do something.
400 people died because they were protesting for their right. Imagine this.
Yeah.
There are people who are out there asking that government talk to them. They have a legitimate concern about something that is directly affecting them. And 400 people just die.
As a very famous American politician once said, corporations are people, my friend. So we are benefiting the corporations. Like I guess Modi is taking it from his handbook and being like, corporations are also people, my friend.
Like extended family.
So where is the agriculture industry headed? Like with all of this craziness?
Deregulation happens and there is a very well established trajectory from deregulation to privatization.
Right.
So agriculture will become more and more privatized.
Right. We spoke about that.
We spoke about that. And we don't really have to look too far away for that. There are already precedents in the world where deregulation has led to privatization, price rise. And the worst part is that when price rise happen, you will see that, okay, well, price rise happened, the farmer will earn more. No. Farmer income goes down, consumer prices goes up. There is a extra money there. Where does it go? To the private industry. That has monopolized farming. Agriculture industry.
Basically, Ambani and Adani will fight over like the biggest apartment complex that they can build or something.
Yeah.
So this is our not so bright farmers report that we have. We can move on to our next section, which is joint effort, which we'll talk about the updates in the diasporic groups and what has happened in the context of India. Miraj, you want to start with the BAPS temple issue?
Oh, yeah. I challenge you. Can you say this name? It's
Wait. Bochasan Vasi,
Okay.
Bochasan Vasi, Akshar Purushottam,
Yes.
Swaminarayan Sanstha. That's BAPS,
Sanstha.
guys. Yeah. You want to tell?
It's a tongue twister. It took me a lot of practice to say Buchasanvasi.
Buchasanvasi.
I was
And
like,
then
what
we
is this?
Googled it, and it's just basically someone from Buchasan.
Okay, so BAPS is a self-proclaimed socio-spiritual Hindu organization, and it has very close ties with PM Modi and BJP. We'll put the link, so don't come after accusing us that you are lying and propaganda. So there are reports on this. Yeah, every time you say something like that, then there is a troll army
Yeah.
coming after you. So this organization or sanstha has been building very expansive temples
Oh,
all
you
over
should
the
see the
world.
one in near LA in Chino Hills. It's humongous. There is one.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
I know that because my friends visited and she said the food is really good. But I'm like,
Okay. I mean, for food, I can go.
okay, no, but let's talk about what actually happened because I don't know if you want to go for food. Maybe they're cancelled now.
Oh, yeah, it could be. So what happened? So what happened is that there were laborers that were brought from India,
Mostly
violating the
Dalits.
US labor laws, mostly Dalits, violating the US labor laws for minimum wages, and they were made to work for a huge mandir which is being built in Robbinsville, New Jersey. And they were kept there in a captive situation.
Their passports were taken
And
away.
even the money, yeah, it's something like you hear this, that this kind of thing happen when somebody goes to UAE, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
They're like a sheikh takes the passport
Yeah.
and then you are stuck there and you are like a
So
bonded labor there.
they were taught by these BAPS agents to tell immigration and customs that they were coming to work as volunteers and not for wages.
So they were brought on R1 visas. So R1 visas are for people who come to US volunteering for religious work.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So you are not expected to pay
Right,
them.
'cause
as
it's
such,
volunteering.
You know, so if you are coming on, yeah, it's a volunteering.
So they
So
yeah, they
then
were paid what? They were paid $4.50 a month, which is $1.2 an hour, which is obviously not minimum wage in the US. So then came a lawyer called Swati Sawant, and she learnt about this, and she organized them in secret because they were not even even if they were allowed to go outside for a walk, they were not allowed to go
Yes.
free, roam freely. So the lawsuit is now filed by 6 Dalit workers on behalf of themselves and 200 other Indian workers.
Yeah, and you can imagine with the kind of contact that the organization has.
Yeah.
Like it's brave of her to go
Yeah,
after
because
them.
they'll go after her, dude. Like, I'm just Swati Sawant, we salute you and hope let us know if you need anything.
Yeah, we are super powerful.
We have lots of money from our tweets and shit. Like, remember we spoke about the tweets in the first episode or something?
Oh yeah. And we have been also paid by Rihanna.
Rihanna, Khalistan.
Oh no, we paid Rihanna. Sorry,
No, that,
shit.
yeah.
My bad.
Get your story right, Miraj. So anyway, as it
Okay, my
stands
bad.
now, 90 workers have been removed from the construction site and the temple is closed. CNN, New York Times, all of these places have reported it. So the next one is the TRIPS waiver press conference that was held by groups such as Amnesty International, Humanism Project in Australia. It was basically so that we can get fair access to COVID vaccines, which are right now being blocked by developed nations citing intellectual property rights.
I hate intellectual property rights.
No, what?
I totally support.
Shut up. I'm Wait, you're a scientific researcher.
Okay.
I mean, I
Yes.
get it.
No, so the way intellectual property rights is being used, what happens is that the intellectual property rights then become the corporate right on
Oh, I
intellectual
see what
property
you
that has
mean.
been funded by the
Yeah, I
government
work
money.
in too low
public
budget
money.
films to not like be happy about intellectual property rights.
There is a huge amount of public money that has gone into
Right.
this. People giving taxes to their governments, government putting that money for research. All of this, by using intellectual property right, you can limit the sharing of this knowledge to public in general of other countries. Now, this intellectual property right is being used by, it has always been used by corporations to
Okay,
make
we are
money.
digressing now into intellectual property rights. But but basically, TRIPS is trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, and it is an international treaty that regulates IP.
So, in India being
So badly hit
a developing
yeah,
country,
with
is badly hit because of the unavailability of the vaccine. So, part of the reason is that the technology transfer cannot happen because there are intellectual property rights violations in that. And the companies that produce these vaccines cannot let this knowledge to go to another country, because then
Violating.
they can't sell that. Yeah, then they can't sell their
Right.
product in that market, because that market will make it for cheaper
So
prices.
12 countries have been blocking this, and that is like most of North America, I mean basically US and Canada, and Eastern European countries, and all of these places that have already got 40% of their population vaccinated. And Australia is also one of the countries, and that's where our humanism project and these Australian groups come in.
So they organized a signature campaign, collected 50,000 signatures, and presented it to the Department of Foreign Affairs ahead of the World Trade Organization's TRIPS Council meet that was happening in Australia. So it's a huge
deal.
campaign.
So as of June 14th, the European Parliament has passed a resolution that they will support negotiations for a temporary waiver of these IP laws. But this is just a resolution. Nothing has really happened so far in that regard.
Yeah, and it's just a temporary waiver. It's a global crisis. For temporarily just suspend that, so that knowledge can be shared by the whole humanity.
Yes, definitely. So we have the next update is what is happening in Lakshadweep.
Yeah, this Lakshadweep issue just came out of nowhere. Suddenly, it was all over the news. Lakshadweep is something somewhere in the corner. I also didn't know much about Lakshadweep before I started researching for this one. So Lakshadweep is a group of 36 islands. It is off the coast of Kerala, and only 10 of those islands are inhabited. And it became a union territory in 1956 when the state of Kerala was constituted. It's this very small demography, 65,000. I can't imagine like part of India is just populated by 65,000. We always talk in millions.
We always talk in millions of people. But I mean, the demography is basically Muslims form 96%, and scheduled tribes form 94.8% of those. And so that means it's mostly minorities which need protection.
Yes.
So what is happening there?
So because it's a union territory, it is served by a Lok Sabha MP. So it doesn't have like a state government like a union territory. And it is mainly dominated by Congress and NCP. And in addition to the UT administration, which administers the whole union territory, there are Dweep Panchayat councils, which are for the local administration.
Yeah, so it's a local panchayats are, they're smaller organizations that are formed by locals for governance and local administration.
Yeah, so here comes Praful K. Patel, administrator appointed by the Modi government.
Of course.
And that is when things start going south.
Right.
He started infringing on the land rights of the local population, their cultural fabric, food preferences, how the election was happening, so electoral discrimination and indiscriminate power to authorities against civil society, something like UAPA, right, where the police can take into custody. So
the cultural fabric, what we're talking about is like they're banning beef again, like most of the country. That was the BJP's agenda. And then obviously because the population is mostly Muslim, and they're just trying to show their power, show that, oh, you know what, this is a Hindu nation, we are going to ban beef. The panchayat regulation also, they're like trying to, if you have more than 2 children, you cannot become a member of the panchayat. And then they're also bringing liquor. With liquor, it was the dry state, there's no liquor.
Not really dry, because liquor was allowed to be served on uninhabited
islands.
Yeah, so for the tourists. But where the island is not inhabited.
Like by locals, you mean that the island is where the locals are there, there's no liquor, right?
Yes.
And then it's so dumb, and this anti-social activities law, which is whatever, anti-gunda regulation, they can arrest you to prevent a crime. So it's like that Minority Report precogs again. Like, oh, I think that there is going to be a crime and I can predict it somehow because because BJPs have those precogs or something. It's so stupid.
Imagine Modi ji have precogs.
Okay. Yeah. So if he has precogs, this is Amit Shah, Yogi, and one more third person. Third arm would be what? Modi himself, and they'll all three like go bang together like a trinity.
So all Muslims are criminal by default because they are Muslims. Right, so whatever they do is crime.
Okay.
So Lakshadweep, 96% Muslim population.
So basically they're criminals or savages, and they need to be treated like that, and we can do whatever we want. This is the theme.
Sometimes I feel like Delhi is colonizing rest of India. when I look at it.
It's true because
Imagine
everything
that.
they have exploited in a way that it's like a cash cow for them. Like now, Lakshadweep was like doing its own thing. We are a union territory. We are away from mainland India. Nobody in India knows what the fuck is going on in Lakshadweep. So let's
Open it up.
open everything
It's
up.
it's all yeah.
Let it be Reliance fucking everywhere to the moon and back. I don't know.
Seriously, if you think about it, it's like British government working on behalf of East India Company. So first the British government comes and then colonizes India, and then after British government has properly colonized India, it is ready to give the power over to the East India Company. Then British government backs off, and the East India
Bye
Company
bye,
becomes the
tata.
government.
Like okay, handle shit.
So yeah, so it's amazing. Like we are being colonized from inside. That's an amazing thing happening in India.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that for a lot of the world. But it's well, on I mean, anyway, we should go get back to our episode first segment, which was joint effort. And thank you for tuning in. Next Sunday in Culture Kush, we will talk about the movie Peoply Live.
Follow us on our social media, the Ghadar, THE_GHADAR. And please talk to your friends and family about the podcast. It is very helpful. We really like when we get comments.
And also, we are on YouTube so that we have more trolls now.
Thank you for listening. See you next week.
Bye.